Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie to you. With all this crap that's going on, geopolitical or geo-regional issues that affects us, like as an everyday U.S. EU consumers, we just get shafted, right? Because when something happens where the oil is, we all get, and it's not just oil; it's also that everything that goes on top of the bases and usage, like what airlines, transportation supplies, X, Y. And I think with transportation supplies, whether it be gas itself, or the conversion of the transportation of gas itself, petroleum, however you want to put it, impacts a lot of things, not just our own wallets, or not just our own gas tanks, but also affects the prices of certain products that we pay for. Imports that on top of the tariffs, on top of the prices that we already pay when it comes to inflation, to the tariffs. On top of this, also pay a bit extra for the extra transportation costs that these companies incur when they ship their products from outside of the US into inside. And then when they reach the ports past customs, now they have to transport them to the warehouse, from the warehouse to the shelves at the grocery stores. This is how we get screwed. There is a higher cost of transportation, and specifically the gas that transports the products from A to B, and then eventually from B to our houses. And so what am I trying to say with this? All I'm saying is, how do we benefit from issues like this? We can't really benefit from it directly because we always have to buy the necessities like food and commodities every day. Gas is unfortunately one of them because we are at work. If you have the opportunity to work remotely, then that's you should, especially nowadays. My area, I've seen $8-9 prices for red gas, and in some other areas, I've seen $5. So, what can we do to better our situation? What's the solution? Well, the solution depends on a couple of things: our situation, how do we generate money, and on top of that, how much does this person have saved up? How long can this person endure the heightened cost of gasoline? Keep in mind, gasoline was at insane prices a couple of years ago when it was at $3 to $4. Get used to this, just have this expectation that gas prices will always stay high. Mind you, remember when back in the 2010s, the gas prices were hovering, and eventually reached to 3, eventually reached to 4, and we were all crazy. I remember the adult time when I was young. The adults were complaining gas prices reached $4, it reached $5, $6. This is crazy because this is not common, but now it is, because over the recent years, I've been paying $5 max here in Southern California for a gallon of gas, and so it's just expected. How do we hedge? Not necessarily financially, but how do we hedge against the psychological budget? And it's hard to do so because budget directly on rent, more income than rent. Well, if you have enough income to cover rent, then you have enough budget to cover certain costs. If your rent's too high to cover your income, that's an issue. Anyways, all this say is that your budget obviously influence how you think, speak, and react to the fluctuation of gas prices. And so what am I trying to say with all of this is this: it's always been the need, it's always been the urgency to multiple streams of get not necessarily rich, but be on the pathway to certain areas. So how do we go from, okay, I'm being screwed, to, okay, now I can manage this and not be as screwed? Well, a couple of things. Can always take advantage of what we already good at. So I like to commentate, I like to play video games. I would say I used to be very good when I was older. I switched to mouse and keyboard. So the point of what I'm trying to make with this is that eventually I would like to have my I have two, but I will market those when things look better for first. So let's use the skills that we already have, use them to our advantage to try to get a second source of the second point is also try to evaluate where do you stand financially. Do you have a spending problem, or do you have an income? Those two are indistinguishable, because you have an income. All that means is that you're not making, and the way to resolve that is to switch jobs or to work an extra 5 to 10. But it's kind of hard because it also depends on your situation. Kids, if you already work hard, if you college, because there are other things that are dedicating your time to eventually you're gonna say. So you feel a bit. So what's the solution to that? Well, I would say it depends. There's always a way. I think every person should at least go through a time in their lives. Shut the hell up. Focus on college, with their family, what have you. It all depends on the person's situation. Third point, obviously stocks. We still have. I remember a long time ago. Well, not that much time ago. I would say November, December time was when I was very serious on diversifying my portfolio to include petroleum stocks or energy stocks. It doesn't have to be necessarily specific gas, electricity, etc. It was important to diversify and to include gas as part of your hedge. So back in December, I decided to invest in XLE. It is SPDR's version of, or it's their version of ETFs that harbor a lot of energy stocks, shares, and also single stocks too, like exxonmobil, Chevron. And I bought them not so long ago, back in December, and now it exploded because of what happened in Venezuela, and now it exploded even further because of that. So diversify, be early when it comes to investing. Don't always, if you have a lot of money hidden in your mattress, bank, at least in the high yield save, that all of those are good, all of those are fundamental. Just know they're either dying because of inflation, or you could be leaving the table because you could have getting a higher percentage and not the which variable APR that you offer. So what am I trying to say to this? We all get screwed because of geopolitical tensions, regional wars, etc. If it impacts oil, then we all get screwed. If it impacts a certain source of resources, then the prices of products that are based on those resources get screwed. So oil is the basis of a lot of these things. Cars, transportation, products to shipboards, warehouses, and to the supermarkets, and we all get screwed. And so what's the solution to that? Well, it's kind of hard to understand. But from a very macroeconomic investing that for yourself is to invest in stocks to make sure that your net worth. So from a macro point of view, it's just dedicating time to earn the same income, bettering your budget, both in terms of financial and psychological aspect, having enough budget to cover certain fixed expenses, and also have the mental fitness to be able to or endure costs. So these are changes that happen in the short term. It's a pain in the. Well, the question I try to ask myself is how can I benefit from this war? How can I benefit from the economic shocks that happens regularly? And also, how do I endure for the short run? Because short run is considered 5 years of economics. Short run for you and I could mean a couple of months. Either way, I always try to think long term. I always try to think how I'm going to benefit from certain situations. Best thing that we can do right now is invest while things are low. Things are low when it comes to the stock. The S&P has taken hit. Energy stocks have increased spots. Defense stocks have increased spots too, like Lockheed and Northrop. So always try to ask yourself in any situation that you find yourself in, how you can benefit that situation financially or otherwise. There's always a benefit. There's always a positive and a negative situation. So I will leave you that question. In a situation that you find yourself in, how can you benefit from that situation, even when you may think that you can't. Alright, fellas, later.